have no regrets.
So when I saw this moment, I was just thinking about myself and a lot of emotions and grieving that I have experienced. I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth, no matter what the cost is.
It turned out that, before his death, Charlie Kirk had admitted to Candace Owens that he was planning to secretly run a DNA test on his children, just to be certain. And when the results finally came in, they were nothing like what he had anticipated. It's unfortunate he never got the opportunity to talk it over with Erica before the incident. For a while, it seemed as if Charlie had taken that secret with him to the grave. But now, Candace is bringing forward the difficult questions she believes can no longer be brushed aside. And with the way things are unfolding, it appears Erica is willing to do anything to remain silent. So now everyone is left wondering, did Candace expose an uncomfortable truth, or is this simply another witch hunt?
Kind of sending a message here that she's not standing against the people that are telling the truth. I said early on, if Erica Kirk asks me to be quiet, I will be quiet. She didn't ask me to be quiet, so I don't know what I'm supposed to.
Before diving into the DNA test and what it could uncover, it's worth noting that, despite her good intentions, Candace is being attacked from every direction. And the most unexpected part is that the one leading the charge is the very person who should be stepping forward to seek the truth about Charlie, his wife, Erica. And that's what finally pushed Candace past her breaking point. According to Candace, Erica even went so far as to send a letter directly to the judge, urging him to issue a restraining order tied to the case. But Candace? She doesn't let a simple restraining order slow her down. She took to social media and announced that, if she had to, she would go to any extent to expose how those closest to Charlie treated him in the final months of his life. Candace stated bluntly that what she had learned over the past week was enough to shake the entire system. And then she delivered the line that sent shockwaves through her community: Charlie was betrayed by everyone. That statement hit like a lightning strike, because even though Candace had spoken plenty about Charlie's passing, this time her audience heard something different. Charlie was betrayed by everyone started to sound a lot more like Charlie was betrayed by everyone, including his wife. And that moment flipped the entire conversation on its head. The comments surrounding Candace exploded with demands for her to go fully public, to stop holding back any of her receipts. One comment rose above the rest, pulling in more than 2,000 likes, perfectly capturing the intensity of the moment. It sent a chill through everyone who read it. The message felt written on the walls, the ceiling, and the floor: if the truth is powerful enough to burn everything down, then let it burn. Let the truth come out, Candace. And when Candace finally released the even more shocking receipts behind the betrayal she had only hinted at, social media fell into absolute silence. The revelations placed Erica Kirk and her supporters in a deeply uncomfortable spotlight. Here's the fascinating part. Candace may have been the one who uncovered the betrayal, but the public wasn't exactly stunned. Erica's behavior since Charlie's death has been questioned for a long time. Is she truly a mourning widow? Or is she simply performing a role that was scripted long before any of this began? And as people begin stitching the pieces together, everything starts to fall into place. If Charlie truly felt suspicious enough to run a private DNA test, it no longer sounds far-fetched. Just look at the signs that have been unfolding in public. On 2 different occasions after Charlie's death, Erica has referred to 2 men in ways that have raised more than a few eyebrows. The first came when she spoke about Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, the man meant to be his right hand, in a tone so fervent that the audience went quiet. She repeated, "Mikey McCoy is awesome." And that tiny moment instantly turned into a major point of discussion. As everyone knows, this is the same man who was later seen casually walking away from Charlie shortly after the incident, phone still pressed to his ear as if he already knew what was about to happen. And then there's the recent moment that shattered the internet: Erica Kirk and Vice President J.D. Vance embracing on stage at an event that was supposed to honor Charlie. The irony here is impossible to miss. And let's not forget, just seconds before that controversial hug.
Ever replace my husband? No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD. Yes, I do.
She could have chosen her words differently, softer, more neutral, simply highlighting Charlie's qualities without giving the impression that she was moving on emotionally at lightning speed. And it's this strange pattern of behavior that has people wondering, if she can change so dramatically after Charlie's passing, then what was happening behind closed doors while they were still together? What could have been so serious that Charlie felt the need to uncover the truth on his own? And here's the part no one saw coming. As you already know, the defense in the Tyler Robertson case asked for cameras to be barred from the courtroom in order to guarantee a fair trial. But when Erica was questioned about this during a recent interview with Jesse Waters, she argued that banning cameras was unfair because she believes the public deserves to see the entire truth. Yet it was what she said afterward that truly stunned Candace. Erica claimed she had gone through the entire case herself and believed the investigative files already provided a complete picture of what happened to her late husband. She even added that what she saw was so brutal that she wanted the whole world to witness it. And that was the moment the debate shifted to an entirely new level. According to publicly available sources, this story has been gaining significant traction in online circles. We merely report topics that capture public interest, with no intention of confirming or speculating about anyone's private matters. All details are presented purely for entertainment and commentary purposes.
The defense wants to ban cameras in the courtroom. How do you feel about that?
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. Let everyone see and know how it happened.
But according to Candace Owens, it was that very attitude that stood out. That was the strangest part. Candace immediately fired back. Why was Erica so quick to accept the official story in its entirety when everyone knew it was full of inconsistencies? Why would someone at the center of the tragedy be so ready to declare that everything is resolved, when the entire community was pointing out the gaps? Candace didn't hesitate. She didn't waver. She stared directly into the camera and voiced the question that millions of people were silently asking. If Erica truly knew there were gaps in the story, why was she defending it as though it were flawless? This was the moment the discussion shifted from debate into skepticism. Despite the official records, the statements, and the carefully crafted reassurances, many people didn't buy it. They doubted the sequence of events, questioned the explanations, remained unconvinced by the investigation's findings, and, above all, couldn't accept that Erica was unaware of the missing pieces. A tangible energy surged online, a widespread sense that the media's version no longer aligned with public intuition. People weren't reacting purely on emotion or idle speculation, but were drawing conclusions from the fragments of information emerging from credible sources. And it was at this point that Candace noticed something particularly troubling. Erica didn't just accept the official story, she actively defended it, as if suggesting that any questioning would be a sign of disrespect toward the deceased. But again, Candace pressed the issue. If your goal is truly to honor the deceased, why discourage questions? Why push for a blackout? Why choose silence over transparency? To many observers, that deliberate silence hinted at something far deeper. It wasn't merely the pain of loss at play, it seemed like a controlled narrative, carefully constructed and maintained. And right now, the focus isn't on who to believe. The real question reflects the concerns of the entire community. If everything is truly transparent, why fear the cameras? If everything is clear, why guard the story behind a wall of silence?
The entire issue and the energy right now is that people, irrespective of what's happening on paper, don't believe the story. They don't believe a story. And you are, and of course, this is only a snippet of the interview, so I'm sure more will be said here. But I'm getting that you have seen the case. You think it's a solid case. She thinks it's a solid case at least, and is saying, show everybody what you have so they can see true evil. Within her capacity of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA, they could be more transparent about what happened that day. People don't like the stuff that they've seen about Mikey McCoy. They don't like what they've seen about Rob McCoy. They don't like the history of Rob and Mikey McCoy.
There were countless signs that something, big or small, was being kept from the public. The most glaring example, Charlie's autopsy results were never made available. No summary, no full report, no official announcement. Then there were the bullet casings circulating online, the ones people claimed had writing on them. But when experts pointed out that the casings didn't have enough surface area to hold that much writing, they suddenly vanished from the conversation. No one mentioned them again. No updates were provided. No explanations were offered. Candace even mentioned that she wasn't surprised so many people speculated that Charlie might still be alive. Not because they were buying into wild conspiracy theories, but because of Erica's reactions. She didn't act like someone who had just lost her partner. While everyone else was still in shock, still grieving, still demanding answers, Erica immediately stepped into the CEO role at TPUSA. And what astonished many observers most was how she almost seemed to turn Charlie's passing into a media springboard for herself. Instead of mourning quietly, she appeared on multiple stages. Instead of taking time to quietly grieve, she spoke about the organization's new vision. Rather than concentrating on the truth, she highlighted the excitement surrounding the attention TPUSA was receiving. Yes, she framed it as Charlie's legacy, claiming it was what he would have wanted. But according to Candace, all of those words were just a pretext, a way to cover up. Candace believes that what Charlie truly wanted wasn't emotional interviews, memorial speeches, or vague promises. What he wanted was the truth to come out, that he had been betrayed, and betrayed by those closest to him. And the moment Candace said that, everything began to shift. The unthinkable started to unfold. This is where the story takes an even more intriguing and unsettling turn. Because contrary to what many initially assumed, Erica may not have been the only person Charlie had lost faith in during the final months of his life. Shortly after Candace publicly questioned Erica, new details began to surface from completely unrelated sources, yet they all told the same story. There were people around Charlie who were not as trustworthy as they seemed. One former employee noted that the office atmosphere had shifted dramatically in the month leading up to the incident. Another revealed that Charlie sensed some people were behaving unusually. A volunteer noted that Charlie had grown cautious and no longer trusted those closest to him. All of these accounts, initially brushed aside, suddenly gained credibility when they aligned with the private texts Candace revealed. And when you piece it all together, the full picture starts to emerge. Charlie's most trusted circle may not have only betrayed him emotionally, but also compromised his security, his position, and his influence. Which brings us to the larger question, the one that will make viewers pause and reflect. If Erica wasn't alone, then who else was involved? Who stood to gain the most from Charlie's departure? And why did they remain so silent? This is where the story grows darker and even more compelling. Because in tales of power, the truth never truly vanishes. It's merely hidden, waiting for someone like Candace to pull back the curtain. Charlie was surrounded on all sides by people whose loyalties were questionable, whose interests didn't align with his or with the future of TPUSA. And living in an environment filled with hidden agendas at every turn, it's no wonder he became so cautious that he took it upon himself to have his children's DNA tested. The more he observed, the more everything around him appeared as a tangled web of connections, links that no one could be sure were trustworthy. The most obvious example was a name that came up repeatedly behind the scenes, Tyler Br, TPUSA's executive director. Candace, along with multiple independent sources, confirmed that the scandal surrounding him was far more complex than the questions raised about Mikey McCoy. According to the allegations, BER was rumored to have consistently fostered an unprofessional environment involving male interns in the office, while also maintaining unexplained ties to child welfare organizations in Ukraine.
Also, another person who wrote us was telling me the story about Tyler Boyer's involvement in like Maricopa County politics in general. Like, what did he do before in Arizona? And yeah, it's just the kind of stories. Again, he said he approached him several times about embezzlement. You know, Tyler was hooking up with young male interns, or young male workers. And he didn't even care. He's like, I would go on record because all this happened and I had proof that all this happened. And everybody knows about Tyler Boyer at Turning Point USA. It's like an absurdity. But this is the person that is putting people into places of power at Turning Point.
He was the one responsible for building influence within the leadership teams. And if the allegations hold any weight, it raises major questions about who truly shaped the team around Charlie. Did Charlie fully understand the ambiguity of the people he trusted? If those around Charlie were concealing such significant secrets, it begins to make sense why he might not have fully trusted Erica. What confuses the public is how consistently Erica has defended these individuals. Despite negative reports or allegations, rather than creating distance or demanding transparency, she has often aligned herself with them, even offering support as she stepped into a leadership role. That brings up the unavoidable question, why is Erica so fiercely protective of them? Are her loyalties rooted in professional ties, personal connections, or something far deeper? As the story unfolded, the public began to wonder, could the betrayal Candace spoke of go beyond power and influence? Could it also touch on family, on the children, on Charlie's private suspicions? Because when a man is pressured by his sponsors, his own beliefs, conflicting messages, and those around him who harbor so many secrets, it no longer feels extreme that he would feel the need to verify the most intimate aspects of his life, even those concerning his children. Many who revisited the timeline began noticing a troubling pattern. Charlie grew increasingly wary of certain key figures. He shared his feelings of distrust and sent texts revealing emotional exhaustion. And then, quietly, he took a DNA test in secret. None of this occurred in isolation. It unfolded in an environment where those who were supposed to support him acted suspiciously. And his partner, the one person who should have stood by him, consistently sided with the most controversial individuals. This is why the story of Erica's betrayal was never solely about romance or personal suspicion. It was part of a much larger picture, a tangled web of power, influence, and wrongdoing that Charlie may have tried to uncover before everything unraveled. And when Candace stated that Erica wasn't acting alone, people began to see clearly what they had previously refused to believe. The betrayal might have come from multiple directions. Now, the central question is no longer simply whether Erica betrayed Charlie, but who else was involved. Who benefited from her silence, and from Charlie's silence, permanently? The most unsettling aspect of this entire situation isn't just the cover-up itself. It's how swiftly Erica and the Tpuza leadership moved once Candace began asking hard questions. The moment the restraining order was issued, it all felt like a carefully orchestrated operation. Before Candace could even respond, legal warnings, threats of defamation lawsuits, and multiple reminders from Tpuza instructing her not to discuss sensitive matters related to Charlie began arriving. Everything happened so swiftly, so precisely, so seamlessly, that many were left questioning why a grieving widow and a conservative Christian organization would respond like a professional PR team managing a crisis. And yet, when Tpuza supporters realized that the leadership was attempting to silence Candace, they rallied behind her, amplifying the story across social media. Dozens of viral posts began portraying Candace as out of control or unstable, with some even claiming she was struggling with postpartum depression. Such narratives are easy to spread, of course, but they are also extremely dangerous, particularly because they aim to undermine Candace's credibility before she has the chance to speak further. Ironically, the intensity of their reaction only made Charlie's pre-death suspicions seem more believable. After all, what could signal the truth more clearly than an attack on the very person trying to expose it? What makes the situation even more unsettling to observers is Erica's behavior throughout. She has consistently spoken to the media as if Candace were the problem, as if all the recent tension and turmoil were her doing. But there's one critical question the public cannot ignore. If Candace is the problem, then why did Charlie secretly take a DNA test in the first place? No one does something like that on a whim. No one does it when they are content. No one does it without a reason to be suspicious. The truth is, if Charlie had placed complete trust in Erica, none of this would have occurred. That's why the situation around Erica is so chaotic right now. The restraining order, the legal warnings, the attempts to discredit Candace, and the sudden focus on Candace's mental state, this is far from a normal debate. This is a battle to control the narrative. Looking closely at the timeline, a pattern emerges. Step 1. Candace raises questions about the inconsistencies in the case. Step 2. The restraining order is issued just days later. Step 3. Threats of lawsuits begin immediately. Step 4. Social media becomes flooded with posts aimed at discrediting Candace. Step 5. The story shifts, moving from the truth about Charlie to the narrative that Candace herself is the problem. Some say this is evidence that Puza is afraid of something. Others believe Erica is determined to protect her image at all costs. But most viewers are thinking the same thing. If there's nothing to hide, why are they trying so desperately to silence Candace? And the most significant moment, the one that sent the entire community into a frenzy, came with Candace's final question. If the DNA test was the reason Charlie couldn't confront Erica, was what emerged from that test the true reason they wanted to silence Candace? That was the instant that made everyone stop and take notice. Not because Candace asked too forcefully, but because the question hit exactly at the point everyone wanted answered, yet no one had dared to voice. Because if Charlie was suspicious enough to secretly take the test, and if the results turned out to be completely unexpected, it could be a media bomb, a bomb that anyone with something to fear would want to bury deep. That's why the effort to silence Candace wasn't a spur-of-the-moment action. It was a defensive move, the response of people who fully understood that if the truth came out, every structure they depended on would crumble. According to public sources, this story is rapidly gaining attention across online communities. We report only what is publicly interesting, with no intention of confirming or speculating about anyone's private life. All information is shared purely for entertainment and commentary purposes. If you want the truth to come to light, hit like. If you believe there are more secrets waiting to be uncovered, leave a comment. Silence is also a response, but don't stay silent here. Thank you for watching the video.